And welcome to Pittsburgh Sports Now. Mike Vikovcan, joined by our recruiting analyst and Pittsburgh's senior recruiting analyst. That would be the guru, Harry Pasaros.
Hi, everybody.
Harry, hope you had a good Memorial Day weekend with the family.
Loved it. Did a lot of hiking, mountain biking, gardening. I was outside working out. Loved it. No complaints.
All right. We want to mention right off the top, we appreciate our segment with the guru, Talking Pitt, sponsored by the Buell Agency, with locations in Gibsonia, Butler, Warrendale, Allison Park, and Mars. Give my man Aaron a call at 724-443-5610 for any quotes on your auto, home, renters, motorcycle, business, life, whatever. Aaron will take care of you, and make sure you mention Pittsburgh Sports Now. Harry, big day for the Panthers yesterday. I think sometimes we say that, it is true, but yesterday was a big, big day as far as, in a lot of ways, with the quality of player they got, and that's why we wanted to bring you in today and get your take on it. Malik Newton, 3-star running back, Norfolk, Virginia. You looked at his tape. What type of player did Pitt and Pat Narduzzi add yesterday?
Let me say this too. I've been in touch with Malik for the last month plus, and first I'll say this: fans are going to love this kid. He's extraordinarily likable. Mike, you did a Zoom video with him yesterday, and you could see his personality coming out. What I like about Newton right now, he's 6'2", 220. He's something Pitt doesn't exactly have right now, and that's a power runner. When you see this kid, he's north-south. He has some speed to him despite the size, and he has those giant quads you kind of look for on film. And I always love when you see players just go down to tackle and just bounce off his thighs, and you see a lot of that. So this is a power back, someone that's produced at a high level down at the Tidewater area. And when you look at how he stacks up, obviously they're bringing in Rodney Hammond, that's more of a speed back. Vincent Davis is more of a speed back. Izzy, that they brought in the last class, is kind of what I call your Curtis Martin type, and that's high praise. But he's that guy that kind of delivers a little bit of both. He's about 6 foot, 205, has the power, has the speed. But then when you're talking about Malik, you're talking about that true back that's going to wear down a defense. You want to bring in, he's just punishing. And like I said, what you like is you see the separation too. When he breaks a play, it isn't like he's caught. That's kind of what you want to look for a lot on film. Or they chase him down quickly. That tells you he might be big, but the speed isn't there. This is about a 4'5" guy, despite the fact he's 220 pounds. And he's not in Pitt's system yet, where he's taking in proper nutrition, building up his body. I mean, before you know it, he could be like a James Conner, like a 225, 230 pound back. There's a lot to like, and he had a huge offer list on top of that.
So one of the things I asked him yesterday, do you pride yourself more on your speed to get away or your physicality? And he, without a doubt, said his physicality. He likes to take on contact. But as you mentioned at the end of what you just said there, that was the thing that jumped out to me the most. I was watching his film last night, and once he got to the line, once he got past that initial line of defenders, nobody caught him, and that's normal for a guy a la Vincent Davis, somebody like that, a smaller type guy. When you're talking about a 225-pound back that is still defenders can't catch him, that's something rare.
Well, and what happens, and fans might not know this, we get sent a lot of film from players. And you have to be very careful, and I've learned this through the years. Like, you'll get a player that is big, a 230, 240-pound back. They'll go, watch me on film. And they may get through that first level and knock some kids over, but then you immediately see them gang tackle.
Yeah.
And you didn't see that as much, with Malik. It was a completely different story. Not to mention, too, you always have to factor in the level of competition. You might be a 240-pound back playing at some small Class A school in Montana. That's a little bit different. He's playing against some really good talent, and he's done exceptionally well on the field.
Is there a player, Harry, that you know? I'm not really big into comparisons a lot, but if you had to look at his film and his running style, is there somebody NFL or former Pitt back that maybe you can give Pitt fans a somewhat of a comparison to as to how Newton stacks up?
Yeah, I mentioned this in a tweet, and I want to preface this. Fans always say you compare a lot of these players to blah blah blah. He reminds me out of high school, looking at the film, of Peabody's Kevin Barlow. Barlow was, I think, a slight bit taller. He might have even been 6'1", but Barlow had the exact same, or I should say, he had the exact same running style as Barlow, where Kevin could break it. But if he had to really go down and mow through a line and break a few tackles with his physicality, he could do it. And that's exactly what I saw from Malik. So if I had to make a comparison for the fans that remember Barlow, and Barlow did well. He got to San Francisco. He played in the NFL as well. I see a lot of similarities there.
In our last session, you were very high on the job Pitt and has done of raising up their stock as far as offensive line goes. I think it's not out of line to say that in these last two recruiting classes, assuming everything holds up to par here as far as getting them to sign, Narduzzi's done a good job of adding quality. Hasn't just added depth; he's added quality depth with Izzy, and now a 4-star back in Hammond, and then yesterday with Newton, who I despite the star rating, I think before the end of the year, he has a good chance of being a 4-star back. Pitt's backfield is all of a sudden looks very loaded.
Agree. There are two areas in particular where Pitt right now is built for the long haul. And I mentioned at the last call, offensive line, don't sleep on that. They have a solid offensive line room right now. In the future, I think it's only going to get better. They really solidified that with running back. You look at the running back position, like you said at the moment, I kind of ran through how they all fit in. Hammond and Malik are both highly rated. There was a tremendous offer sheets for both. Izzy last year was the New York Gatorade Player of the Year. So you see what they're stacking up. And to your point, the other thing to factor in is competition. The better the competition with a higher caliber recruit, the better the outcome. And we're going to see that both in the offensive line and now running back.
Yeah, and I think Narduzzi has shown a willingness to who the best player is, they're going to play. And
Right.
I think particularly next year at running back, they're only graduating A.J. Davis after this season. So you got a lot of guys in there next season. And I don't think Pitt's going to care whether or not they start a freshman, if they start a sophomore, or they start a junior. They're going to go for the guy that can get the job done.
Agree, and I appreciate that from Narduzzi. Is the best man wins the job. The other thing too, when we're talking running backs here, again, they're all a bit different. So Whipple can get a little interesting with some of the packages, and like I said, if you're up by 14 points and you want to grind down deep, Malik might be your man. If you're doing like I said, if you're doing more of a faster pace, no huddle, then a Vince Davis or a Roddy Hammond might be your man. So, or Izzy. Izzy has a little bit of everything. So, you have a lot to play with. They all have a different style, and they're all, like I said, they vary in terms of their size. So there's a lot of versatility there, and like to your point, a lot of quality.
And speaking of quality, this is something I think has relevance. It's you saw a lot of the national guys. Sometimes when Pitt gets recruits, some of the national guys don't always recognize it or commented on social media, but they did last night with Newton. When you look at the offer sheet, just some of the teams, when you beat Clemson, first of all, you go into Virginia that has 2 top 25 programs in Virginia Tech, and then you beat the likes of Clemson, Penn State, Nebraska, Virginia Tech, Texas A&M. I can go on. That's a win. That's a big win for the Pitt program, and it's an image win with other kids, whether it be in the class of 21 or 22, particularly in the state of Virginia, seeing that 4 guys from Virginia are already joining Pitt. Something must be going on there.
Exactly. It's buzzworthy. The commitment in and of itself, because of his offer sheet, caused a ripple through the recruiting world. The other thing I noticed is I think the nation's finally looking, going, what are they doing? What's this Beatty guy doing to lure in all this talent? And the other thing I'll say, and I tweeted this last night, and Malik is a perfect example. Again, our fans tend to be a little negative, a little fatalistic at times. And I'm always asked, why can't he land a 4-star? It is beyond comprehension when you look at Malik, look at his offer sheet. And that Clemson offer, because I talked to Malik quite a bit, was legit. They were on him. How this guy isn't a 4-star back. So I think I stated they're the kings at landing 3-star talent with 4-star offer sheets, and it's like I said, what matters to me ultimately are the schools that offered. This is a pedigree player. A lot of the players that have even signed in the 2020 class were pedigree players that were ranked 3 stars that had 20 plus P5 offers. It always kind of blows my mind how that works out, but I think we're going to start seeing the benefits on the field.
All right, last thing, Harry Praceres, Pittsburgh Sports Now's recruiting guru, talking about Pitt landing Malik Newton yesterday. Final question, Chris, is or Harry, you brought him up yesterday, and that's Chris Beatty and the job. I think we're starting to run out of adjectives and the way to describe what the impact he's had in less than 2 years on the program. Going into a place, into a state that has 2 major Power 5 programs, and to try to land, sometimes you get players, but you necessarily maybe don't land the top of the line players. Thanks to Beatty, I'm sure there's other coaches that have helped to recruit on the way. I don't want to give him 100% of the credit because that wouldn't totally be fair. But the impact he's had on Pitt in these last 2 seasons has been remarkable.
Correct. And what I stated before, I've kind of tracked Beatty and where it started, and this might shock everyone, but I actually come from a family with a lot of West Virginia Mountaineers, and he coached there once, and I recall the same thing occurred. There was a pipeline of talent that went to WVU, and I'm like, this guy's great. And what he has done is consistently performed from a recruiting standpoint at every school he's been to. Where I'm surprised is if you Google him and look at his resume, he's been a bit of a vagabond. And it's shocking to me because this is the type of guy, and if you're Heather Lyke and you're listening, that you want to lock up. And they did this with Charlie Partridge, and they're probably going to have to do this with him soon. But you see consistency in performance. Now, that being said, I want to state this. There's a lot of drops that went on the field, aren't exactly all his fault. I'm anxious to see how he revamps the wide receiver core heading into this season. And something's telling me you're going to see a lot less drops than you saw last year. But obviously, he's killing it in recruiting. I'm anxious to see how much he can revamp the wide receiving core heading into 220, because that's also a big part of the job as well.
Yeah, and I agree with you regarding pay to Piper as far as Pitt goes. They might have to get creative. Rob Harley's the recruiting coordinator. I don't know what you can do as far as titles and all that stuff, but Beatty's a guy that needs to be compensated, needs to be secured for the long term in order to keep the ship moving here.
Well, and one factor that goes into all this is the stability Pat Narduzzi has brought to the program. And I understand some people, he's not everybody's cup of tea, but that stability is paying off. We're watching that in recruiting right now. So the only thing I would say is I'm going to quote AC/DC for Heather Lyke, money talks. And titles or no titles, if you're paying them, they'll stay. So this is someone, along with, like we saw with Charlie, you see Archie Collins that's emerging right now. Keep these guys on staff, and they're going to come fishing for them. They did that with Charlie this last season, Charlie Partridge, and they were able to kind of keep him at bay and keep him here. They're going to have to do the same here soon with Beatty, but I expect they will. Yep.
All right, Harry, appreciate the time. I know you got work to do, but we'll check in with you. We might have a little something that you and I have been talking about. We'll just tease the listeners or the viewers a little bit. Something we're going to call upon your recruiting history, and I think a little segment maybe coming up here in the next maybe over the weekend as far as your history with Pitt recruiting. I think it's something Pitt fans will enjoy.
I got 20 years of stories I could tell you. Trust me, it's I have a lot. So we'll have a fun time with that one.
Maybe that one we might have to crack a beer and a glass of wine. I know
Exactly.
Wine's your way to go. So maybe we'll do that this weekend. But we appreciate you joining us, and once again, we appreciate the Buell Agency for sponsoring us. Mike Vakovkian, Harry Pasaris, we appreciate you tuning in, and until next time, so long, everyone.
Take care, everybody.